The governor's visit to the villa comes barely 24 hours after the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, met Buhari to notify him of his presidential ambition. While these announcements have elicited mixed reactions, the issue of whether or not to adopt the zoning system is still on the front burner of Nigeria's polity. Joining me on News Now to discuss this further is Mr. Sam Ohuabunwa, a pharmacist and presidential aspirant, as well as a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Thank you very much for your time. Now, as a presidential aspirant yourself, what do you make of Governor Umahi's interest in the presidential seat?
Well, it's for me, it's welcome because the force of Nigeria or president holds or we have the better for us. So my entry is a welcome development. I applaud him.
Now, what do you make of recent advocacy for zoning? Some are against it and some are for the issue of zoning. As a presidential aspirant, do you want zoning basically, or what exactly are your thoughts on this matter?
Well, for me, I think that zoning, kind of country, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, a country with majority and minority ethnic groups and demographics. At a level of our economic and social and political development, if we jettison to zoning, we might just be causing much more problem for the country, because it means that only the strong, only the majority will have the day all the time. So to increase inclusiveness, to make every part of the country feel that they are part of the nation, it's useful to zone, at least until we get to a particular level of political sophistication when it will no longer be necessary. I've recommended this in my book, Nigeria: Need for the Evolution of a New Nation, that I published in 2010, where I said we need to do the zoning, at least to ensure that all regions have had the opportunity. After that, we may then decide to continue to begin to throw it open, so that no side will say we did not get an opportunity. Until that is done, it will not be fair to just so jettison it. First and foremost, it's also part of the constitutional provision. Our constitution talks about federal character in public offices. And for me, when it comes to the presidency, the federal character is reflected by zoning. Because as I argue, if there was no zoning, there would be no exclusion. In which case, if President Buhari finished his term, somebody else from Katsina State can replace him if there was no zoning. But then that would not be acceptable even to those who are jettisoning zoning. The moment you talk about zoning, you're talking about exclusion. If you don't put exclusion, that means the president can be replaced by his next door neighbor or somebody from his village. I don't think Nigeria has reached that level of political sophistication to accept it. So I think for the good of our country, for good neighborliness, for equity, for justice, for fair play, we should rotate to make sure that all zones have had opportunity to produce a Nigerian president. After that, if they say let us jettison it, I probably will support it.
Do you not think the idea of zoning itself contradicts the tenets of democracy, which will kind of alienate people from voting those who they want to, irrespective of where they come from?
Yes, the issue is that there's practice. You have to do something to gain another. There's nothing that's absolute. So when the leaders of our country, the country is multi-ethnic and multi-religious, decided to come together, they knew they were bringing people from different parts of the country. And therefore, they need to frame a constitution and produce an arrangement of power sharing or power division to be sure that no side is excluded. Let me give you an example. If you, in the level of development in Nigeria today, if you jettison zoning, then there will be no space for the minority groups. the minority ethnic groups will never produce any president. That's the truth. Like the South produced, the job produced, they would never have produced it if there was not a particular decision to take the presidency to that level. So for me, I think that for unity of our nation and for the sustainability and for the peace, people, yes, may be denied their rights in quotes of just voting for anybody from anywhere. But we're not talking about just meeting people's needs. We're talking about meeting the overall need of our people, and to show that we are brothers keeper and that we love each other, because in each ethnic group, in each ethnic state, in each state of the nation, you have competent people. So even if you say it is zoned to Zamfara, Zamfara has competent people who can govern Nigeria. All we need to do is to search for them, so that it's not just because it's zoned for Zamfara, anybody comes. That would be wrong. We must look for the competent people, leaders who have competence, who have character, and who have courage, and have a global understanding and a visionary to be able to take Nigeria from this doldrum of economic poor performance, doldrum of poverty, insecurity, to move us to a nation that is prosperous, where there's justice and where there is security.
Well, indeed, Sam Ohuabunwa, pharmacist and presidential aspirant, thank you very much for your contributions on News Now.